Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Got a new reaction video for you guys today. Before we jump into the reaction, I just want to say thank you guys. Thank you so much for supporting this content. I really appreciate you guys. I wasn't sure how you guys were going to respond to me reacting to these videos, but with the 4 videos I've put out, I've gotten a lot of really positive feedback, great comments, likes, and between the 4 videos I've got almost 2,000 views, which is kind of huge for my channel because I'm a very, very small channel right now. And even Georgia Doe herself actually responded to one of my videos on Twitter, and she said something really nice. She said, "Thank you, just watched. Appreciate your honesty and ability to be vulnerable. I am sure you will help others learn and share as well. Really enjoy the videos." And considering such an amazing content creator went out of their way to respond to me, it was just huge. And between her and your guys' support, it just motivates me more to do even more of this content. This wasn't originally supposed to be a staple on the channel, but maybe it will be. But today we are checking out her video on Angel Dust called Angel's Abuse. So this is not a full-blown reaction. I have watched this one before, but this is one of the deeper and darker videos, and I couldn't help but think about things I wanted to talk about while I was watching it. So I figured I'd share it with you guys. This is a much more serious video, so be warned going in. And yeah, for anybody who hasn't seen me react to these videos, I am not a professional. If you don't know who Georgia Doe is, she is a professional psychotherapist, and she basically takes her training and her expertise and analyzes characters in fiction. Me, I am just a normal dude, but I've been on this earth for 33 years, quite a long time, and I've seen a lot. I've been through some of the darkest things a person can go through, and I'm basically just using my experience to give another perspective on these characters. And I've said it in other videos, but in some cases, when it comes to professionals, you know, some people just can't connect with a professional. Because it's like, if you didn't experience what I have, you don't know my life, you haven't lived my life, you wouldn't understand. And I just want to show people that, you know, someone who's been around the block, who's lived a lot of this stuff does help, and maybe I can help too. But enough from me. I've talked long enough. You guys enjoy it. Drop a like, subscribe if you're new to the channel. Support Georgia Doe. And let's jump in and check out her video. Oh, one more thing I wanted to say, just because I almost forgot. For anybody wondering, I've never been a victim of sexual abuse. That is one thing I've never gone through. But I do know people that have gone through it. Past relationships, friends, family. And I've seen firsthand some of the behaviors and coping methods that people have tried to use. And I've also seen it destroy people. So this is a really big deal to me. And I have also lived through abusive relationships, physical, emotional, and mental. So yeah. All right, jumping in.
Today we're going to be dealing with a more serious topic, which is the psychology of abusive relationships and what happens.
Strap in, guys.
What you can do about it. I have a really hard time the way that everyone treats Angel.
As always, appreciate the cosplay.
And I think that people undermine Angel and don't really appreciate all of the wonderful traits that Angel has. And I'll be doing a video specifically on that and how I think that Angel is one of the more deep characters on the show that does not get credit for it.
What?
I'd argue he is the deepest character on the show. His motivations, his trauma, the things he goes through. Angel's probably the deepest character on the show compared to everybody else. Like, Alistair's an enigma. There's not really much to Sir Pentious. Lucifer is maybe right behind Angel, but I still think Angel is definitely, like, yeah. It's probably why he's everybody's favorite character.
The hell am I then?
You're an important part of our family here, Angel, but you,
constantly make us look bad. I've literally never once tried to improve.
it's just nice to have someone interested for once.
You can see how that really hurts Angel, that even here with his friends, they don't truly see him. Or, I'll say more aptly, he doesn't believe they see him.
Sorry for
Wow.
that. Small technical difficulty. But another thing that I can say in an experience I've had with something like this isn't just that, you know, people aren't seeing Angel. He also feels replaced. I experienced, you know, that kind of behavior from my daughter. She's a rebellious teen. She's going through a lot of changes, but she was having, issues dealing with people. So we had her in with a family therapist who doubled as a personal therapist. My daughter stopped wanting to see her, so she, rather than just leave our family completely, she ended up taking on my son, who was also going through his own things. And immediately, even though my daughter was the one who didn't want therapy, started saying that we replaced her. That I guess I'm just replaced, and behavior like that, like we gave her the opportunity, she turned it down, and then was upset that somebody else got it. So, that's another thing that Angel feels like obviously all their focus was on Angel and improving Angel, and now that somebody else is there, kind of the spotlight's off Angel, and he doesn't like that.
Benches, at this rate, you'll be redeemed in no time.
I'm going to bed.
I am so proud of you, Sir Benches. That was amazing.
Thank you.
Beautiful
Thank
work
you.
today.
You like me. You really like me.
When you feel hurt by someone else's comment, especially when they didn't mean to hurt you, you can see that this comment of someone else being proud and recognizing someone else's performance when you did the same thing can be really hurtful. And when you feel a lot of hurt from a comment that was not intended, that often links to a wound, that this is something that you hope and want for yourself. And so that's what Angel wants, to be seen and recognized for who he is instead of who he puts on or the way that he looks. They both did the play together, and Serpentius was the only one that was really noticed for it. For Charlie, Serpentius is the one that she's trying to rehabilitate, but that kind of means that Angel is forgotten in this, or at least Angel believes he's.
This one I'm kind of half and half about. Like, I definitely agree that Angel wants, the praise for doing the same thing Serpentius did, but I also think it's part of Angel's need for attention and for positive, not necessarily positive reinforcement, but just love in general. Like, he enjoys to be seen because he's treated like such shit everywhere else. He figures, in this one place, he can maybe be himself and maybe be accepted the way he is.
Forgotten.
Angel, baby, come home.
Fuck this guy.
Not the same without you here. I miss you. Angel, if you don't come home, you will be greasy truckers for the next year. Hey, amorcito, I didn't mean to yell, but you know how crazy you make me.
That is really common in abusive relationships. This off and on, really, really kind love bombing someone and then hurtful, knocking them back down, so that the recipient is never feeling safe in a secure environment, which causes them to want to perform more because they want that dopamine hit from someone that really cares and loves them. And also it keeps them on the toes, that they're trying to do more and more each time because they think that if they do more, this person will be happy.
Hey, Angie.
The thing that really gets me about this scene in particular is that you can see it on Angel's face and the way he's skipping through the messages. He knows that he's just being abused and treated like shit by Valentino, and he still keeps going back. Granted, in his case, he's got his deal. He kind of has to go, but only to a point. Like, the deal only gives Valentino control of Angel in the studio, and you see as the show goes on that Angel, learns from that. But I've seen this, I've lived this, where, like, even though they talk down to you, it feels so good to get that praise from somebody you want it from that you can't help but go back. It's almost like you're addicted. And it's a really rough behavior, and it's such a hard cycle to break.
About earlier, kill your whole family. Work's really stressful. Little sucking piece of shit.
And this often happens, that when you're down, that's when you're going to return. When the people that you care about have disappointed you, you might return to that cycle of abuse. Because even though it's abusive, it's the abuse you know. And there's a certain amount of comfort, I hate using that word, but you feel like that's your normal, that's your baseline, what you know. And when we are lost without things, we often return to what we know, even if it isn't pleasant.
It's also, when you do get the love bombing, sometimes you'll have a really, really bad day, or you'll get into an argument with somebody, or in this case, not recognized by somebody you care about. And the love bombing from that one abusive person will actually feel better than everything else that's going on with you at that time. It's like the negativity around you pushes you into what you hope will be positive, even though in reality, it's going to just be that much worse once it falls off again.
You actually think you can change? Addict trash like you doesn't change.
And it feeds our own levels of insecurity and negativity, and it becomes our voice.
This episode is rough.
That's the insidious part of emotional abuse or physical abuse, is that the abuser, is often trying to undermine us, trying to make us not feel like we're worthy, that we have value. It's their way of controlling us so that you don't leave, because often the abuser is very insecure and needs to control others in order to feel better about themselves.
I'll see you soon, baby.
Some people are just assholes.
And that's the cycle of abuse. That they're mean to you, you leave, you might leave, and then they're really, really nice and kind and say sweet things, and then it starts all over again, and often the cycle gets worse and worse. More positive, where you get that dopamine high, and more angry and upset, and that can become very dangerous, so much so that your life could be in danger. And that's why it's so insidious, because it kind of cycles through and you don't notice that it's getting worse and worse each time.
Sorry. Not now, Fat Nuggets.
Cutest pig on the planet. Alright, since I'm sharing, don't judge me for this, guys, but we'll talk about this. When I was in my teenage years, I had a pretty rough relationship, and it did slowly escalate until something pretty out of control. I dated a girl in high school who was very pretty. I did not have much self-confidence in high school. I thought I was unattractive, I was fat, I was bullied. I don't know what she saw in me, but it felt so good that somebody saw me. And we were together for a really long time. And anytime I would do something she didn't want me to do, it was always, I'm going to break up with you. I don't feel the same way about you. Like, so many things to make me feel horrible that would cripple me from doing things I want to do or things that they didn't like. And then she would come back and, be all sweet and whatnot. And throughout the years, it got worse and worse and worse, going from just making snide comments to full-blown threats to eventually putting her hands on me. And nobody ever talks about, a man getting abused. And it does happen, but let's be real. Most people don't care about what happens to a man. And it's horrible to say, but it's so unbelievably true. Moving on. We're gonna keep going because yeah.
Because we feel such negativity, because we feel so lost, we can often go to different addictions to try to numb it. Now, in Angel's case, Angel's using alcohol and drugs, but many people use other things such as food or controlling behaviors or dealing with OCD. It's often to shut off those voices that are in your head, because we carry around this inner monologue that is often telling us our value, and in abusive relationships, we often do not have a lot of self-esteem.
Another version is definitely sex, which also Angel uses. I had a phase where I did that, where I didn't care who it was. Feeling even getting used for sex was better than not being wanted at all. And that was just the loneliness really getting to me. I needed to feel like somebody wanted me, even if it was for a few hours. It was better than nothing at all.
A lot of feelings of empowerment, and that negativity is swirling and quite distressing for our inner self. And so it's not just an addiction, it's an addiction that is effective at actually making us feel, for a moment, better. And for some people, that is all that they're going on. And that's why it's such a multi-layered thing. It's not just one issue that we're often dealing with.
Kitten's got claws. Meow.
I see right through you and all this bull. and how fake you are.
Wow, I had no idea.
Guess that's why I'm an actor.
People that are in these abusive relationships or dealing with abuse, they're pretending that everything's okay.
Cool.
Often for fear of their own
Oh, that one
embarrassment,
hits hard.
or for fear of other people thinking, why did you do this? Or you must be weak to be able to have someone that is controlling you or manipulating you and going through this. And often people that are in abusive relationships aren't even aware that they're in it. It can be many different forms. It can be emotional abuse, physical abuse, financial abuse, ways of being controlled.
That's what nobody thinks
Sometimes
about.
we don't really want to confront that we're there because then we might have to do something about it, and that can be terrifying. Not just because they might have already gained all kinds of financial control, but it could also be that feeling of abandonment or doing things on your own. And then that negative self-talk feeds it because you're saying to yourself, not just they're saying to you, but you're now saying to yourself that I have no value, I can't do this, I'm not going to be able to survive without this person. And then they have that control over you, and then they can do with you as they need.
Hold that thought. Hello?
That last part, I like. When I heard this the first time, it didn't click with me. But again, I lived that. As I said, I wasn't in an abusive relationship, but it's just like, if we split up, I'm all alone again. And can I handle that? There were times where I thought the abuse was better than the loneliness. And that's a scary, scary thought, because I know people all around the world go through that.
Yeah, I'm... No, I'm not. But, yeah. I'll be right there.
And you see how Angel is trying to do that appeasement, which doesn't work. But often when someone gets upset, especially when you're afraid of confrontation, you try to dance more. In your mind, you think that if you are more perfect, if you do things right, they'll appreciate you or see you or not yell or not hurt you emotionally or physically. Unfortunately, it doesn't work because you're someone else.
Get them gifts, do the chores, say nice things, watch what they want to watch, do what they want to do, let them go out with whoever they want. You could do all the amazing things in the world, and it's just never going to be enough. You hope it is, but it's not.
Else's batting board. So if there's something wrong that's happening in their life, they're going to be taking it out on you, no matter what you do.
Looks like Val needs me for emergency shoot.
Sure.
You. I don't give a shit what some drunk bartender thinks of me. So why don't you just crawl back to whatever cave you came from, porn critic?
For Angel, it's more than just what he's doing is being demeaned. And when we talk about people that are sex workers, it is one of those areas that even for here in hell, Angel gets treated quite poorly because of what he does, but also because of this front that Angel puts on. Often people, when they feel maligned by those around them, are testing people, testing their limits, pushing them away because it's so much less hurtful if you push me away because I'm being overt or doing things for shock value, because it would hurt so much more if you're gonna abandon or leave me because of who I am. And so that's another one of the reasons that Angel has this fake demeanor, over the top demeanor. It's his way of testing people, and it just hurts less that they might abandon him because he believes that they will abandon him, but at least it's going to be because he's pushing them away himself. It's the rock that he threw at himself instead of the rock that others are throwing at him.
Kid.
Also referred to as a self-fulfilling prophecy. You think everybody's going to abandon you, so you push them away first until they actually go and abandon you. As somebody who's had abandonment issues and still does, that's a bad behavior I've had. It's like, why give somebody the chance if they're just going to end up hurting me again? And then, obviously, Angel putting on the front, you see that all the time in trauma victims. I had it happen to me when I came out of the army. I came back from Afghanistan, and I was just so cold and distant from everybody, so rude, angry. Like, people that have known me for years would call me a jerk or an asshole, and that was okay with me. That's what I was going for. But the truth is, I'm a giant marshmallow. I have feelings, and I'm trying to get back in touch with the way I used to be before all the stuff I went through. But I was not exactly like Angel, but I did similar things where I hid the real me because I didn't want somebody to take advantage of my kindness and my emotions. I was basically protecting myself, and in turn, I ended up pushing away all the people that I cared about.
It's got claws. Meow.
And you! Don't get me started. I see right through you and all this bull.
And I think that it's really disconcerting for Angel that Husk sees through this fallacy, this fake outer exterior. When you're trying to fake that everything is okay and someone can see through you, it can feel really disconcerting. It makes you feel very insecure because in order for you to feel okay, you need for everyone else to pretend that it's okay also. But that feeds the lie and allows things to stay at the status quo. So it's also a dangerous game because some people will believe you and you may not get the help that you need either. Some people enable, but for some people they are feeding off of the fact that you don't want them to feel that shame or embarrassment or feel the worst, feel sorry for you or judge you for it or look at you as weak. All of those questions you might have inside of your head of who you are. You don't want...
I mentioned at the beginning of the video, but I do know a few people that were victims of sexual assault, and while I have seen it eat a lot of people up inside, there was one person in particular who's actually a family member, and she tried to act like everything was okay, like nothing had happened, like she was happy, like nothing in the world could get to her, even after this happened. But there were little things, you know, that you see here and there that show how damaged she was. She couldn't talk about the event. She full-blown refused. She started changing her self-image, like, kind of almost like a chameleon, or a snake shedding their skin, where, like, depending on her social group, she would change the way she acted and swear that she was being genuine, all the while wearing a smile that you could just tell in the way she acted that something was wrong. It's a lot of like what Angel's doing, where Angel wants to be the life of the party, so nobody knows just how broken he is.
Other people to believe them either. Often that fear of judgment from others is what keeps us quiet and living this lie.
Action!
Oh no! So many burglars! Whatever shall I do?
And so the question of the amount of sex workers that have gone through emotional or traumatic experience, it's actually quite high, especially if they've been abused, learning that their body is one of their commodities. Now, that is not always the case, but it is much higher for those that are in sexually natured jobs at a much higher rate than the population at large. So there is definitely a link, especially to childhood trauma and abuse, to then using that as a commodity later. So this is something for Angel that probably this did not just start with Val. This might have started much earlier, and that would be quite common. Having therapy for people that have gone through trauma is so much more important because there's nothing wrong with choosing to go into a sexually related job, but to go into it because of a wound or a hurt, we shouldn't be making any choices because of a hurt or a wound. It should be choices that we make because it's the best choice for us.
In the ever-loving...
I like that.
What are you doing here?
I'm here to get you some time off for the hotel. Now where's your boss?
Oh, no.
Angel doesn't fear things for himself, but he definitely fears having Charlie in this place. He doesn't want Charlie to go through the things that he does, and he wants to protect her. That's why he's trying to get rid of her as quickly as possible before Val finds out.
Now, there's two different paths here. Angel's trying to protect himself, doesn't want to piss off Val, doesn't want Val to take it out on him. And two, Angel's trying to protect Charlie because he doesn't want Val to hurt Charlie. I've seen it with abusive relationships where, you know, somebody's who's trying to interfere that's not supposed to, pisses off the abuser. Or in the case of really violent abusers, you know, they'll go at the person trying to interfere. And sometimes the victim wants to protect the friend, the family member, somebody who's trying to mess with the relationship so that they don't get hurt. Or at least in their mind, they don't get hurt.
Please, please, just wait until I'm done working and we will talk about this, I promise. But first, you gotta go.
Ah, Your Majesty.
And you see that once Val notices the terror in Angel's eyes, there's a danger here that Charlie has no clue about, and Angel wants to protect her. Angel is really protective of those that he cares about. Again, that'll be on another video.
Oh.
Angel, can I see you in your dress?
The following part's rough, guys. That's why there was a warning.
Val, I didn't know that... Val,
You really think you can have Lucifer's little fight your battles?
And that's the thing with abusers, is they are often exceptionally insecure. They need to control other people in order to feel good with themselves, and they'll do whatever they can to regain that control. Often that means pushing others away from the person that they want to have and making them feel that they need them to survive, financially, emotionally, and physically. And they can often get really angry and irate when they feel like they're...
My only thing with that is that sometimes the victims will make excuses for the abuser. Like, oh, you know, he needs me to feel good about himself. Or he needs me to do this, this, and that. Or she. Depends. But some cases, people are just assholes. This world has some really, really dark people in it. Some people just they like to abuse people. They like to control. And there's no rhyme or reason about it. It is who they are.
losing control.
Now, please, I'm sorry.
You bring her here to protect you,
And they don't care, right? When they're in that rage, especially because a lot of people that are abusers are often narcissistic or carry a whole bunch of narcissistic traits. So even though Angel is trying to plead, trying to make better, trying to stem the anger, it doesn't matter. They feel like they've been disrespected. They feel like they've been humiliated, and especially when it happens in front of others, because they need that affirmation for others to feel good about themselves, because inside of them, the abusers don't. They feel like they're not good enough. They feel like they're insecure. And so the only way that they can feel secure is to control those around them, because inside they believe that if they didn't have this control, people would leave them. Now, does that mean that these abusers don't have any choice or control? No, they could choose to get help or do things better, especially since often they've also gone through usually abuse themselves. It's often hard because those
usually,
that
but not
lean more
always,
towards narcissism often are not that aware that they have the issue. They really keep on telling themselves that this is everyone else's fault, and if you just did what I told you or wanted to, I wouldn't have to get angry. You're making me do this. Often people don't reach a feeling of self-awareness on their own, and so the cycle continues.
You guys see that ceiling? How about that ceiling? It's so pretty.
with me? You think she can get you out of work?
No! See, Val sees this as Angel doing this against him, that it is Charlie versus him, that he's gonna lose control of Angel or lose Angel to Charlie. And that's the thing, is that Val sees this as Angel betraying him, that he's gonna lose control of Angel to an outside source. And that's why in so many of these abusive relationships, they try to push everyone else away so they can have their person all to themselves, and they won't have any chance of escape.
No, that's not what I'm trying to do. No!
And they often have this fear of being mocked, this fear of looking like they are weak or being humiliated by others. Again, that feeds their own negative self-talk and what feeds this abusive cycle.
You know she can't do anything. I own you. Or have you forgotten that?
People that have been in abusive relationships, and often people think, well, you must be weak that you would let someone do this. And it's completely untrue. It's often insidious. It's often something that starts off as something very small and gets worse and worse. It's an emotional start where you feel so loved.
From my experiences and seeing other people go through it, as she explained, it starts off with love. You know, you fall in love with the person. You don't want to just leave them when they start doing things, especially when they play it off like it's just an accident, like it's not going to happen again. And then sometimes it just becomes it gets to the point where it's the only way you feel like you have any values with this person. Like, who am I without them? Who am I without them abusing me? Like, if I just do better, they'll treat me better, and then everything will be fine. Like, I've heard so many excuses. I've made so many excuses for that behavior, and it is never okay.
And cared about. This person puts you on a pedestal, love bombs you, and then slowly starts to peel away at your feelings of self, at your ability to be autonomous. And then we feed off of that need to have them, that dopamine from feeling so cared about and so loved. And it's an off and on relationship where they love you one moment and then don't love you or are hard or cruel or abusive to you the next. And that off and on switch creates an addiction-like reaction, just like the reaction we have to slot machines inside of our brain. We can be addicted to love and sometimes also addicted to not being treated well. We don't really see it that way at the time, but often in retrospect, looking back, we deserved better, but sometimes we don't feel like we do. And so it can be linked to an inner feeling of low self-worth. But it's not even always that case. Sometimes we also can find an affinity because of our own parental relationships where we might have had an absent or a neglectful parent, and because of that, to have someone that every single focus is on us can also feel really good, and that can start to feed it.
When I say
All right, guys, not to cut it off right here, right before we get to, poison, but this one's running already up pretty long. We're already halfway through her video, and we've already got basically a half an hour of recording time, and I don't want to make these videos too long, so we're going to split this up into two parts. Part 1 here, part 2 will be out tomorrow. And as you guys can already tell from the way I've talked and reacted so far, this one's tough. But if you guys want to see part 2, hear more of my experiences and more of my thoughts on this episode and George's video, and compared to the advice that she gives, come back for part 2 tomorrow. And as I said before, I appreciate all the support you guys have given on all these videos, and support Georgia Doe. Her content's amazing, and it wouldn't have inspired me to react to her videos and talk about my experiences if she wasn't as great a content creator as she is. But if you guys want to check me out on social media, those links are down below. That's it for me. I'll catch you guys in the next video. Later.